Managed students attending out of the 48? The answer is
Probably 3/4.
36. There's only 12 of the RUSD school. What we're talking about, what we're really talking about is neighborhoods where people live. And that's really the thesis on the second page, which I think is the reason that Wendell caught Wendell's attention. Is, what's the agenda? Not for the city as an abstraction, but these neighborhoods in which families live. And I personally just want to give a platform, but it is time that the school district and the city and the county figured out how to work together to advance the interests of people who live in these neighborhoods. For too long, we've siloed ourselves, and we need leaders to bring us together.
Learning about all of this and still absolutely believe in the power of neighborhoods, and that's what spoke to me from this. I really think that we do need to build on that.
All right, Fisher, Aaron.
Just interesting the way our culture is. We have a really weak media out here between the press enterprise. Just people aren't reading, and if you go to a restaurant like Subway or whatever, everybody's on their phone. Nobody's talking. So I think neighborhoods in particular, the face-to-face is going to be of growing importance over the next decade as we go more digital and we get more disconnected. It's just really hard to connect in person.
Also, another really important way that you can get involved in Riverside. If you can turn to page 43 of the book, and Aaron, thank you very much for all of your hard work. This is extremely helpful to have this all put together, because I'm not sure it's anywhere else, all the commissions and boards that Riverside has. We do have 16 boards and commissions. On page 43 is a list on the right-hand side of the current vacancies that are coming up. And for most of these, the deadline for the application.
Okay, now we want to talk about you. Because as much as public service or nonprofit service is public and it's to serve other people, ultimately it is a personal decision and it involves personal trade-offs. And that is something that is common to every human being. Let me illustrate. The Vice President of the United States just decided that he is not going to run for president despite a lot of people thinking that he should. And he went through a very public process of agonizing over whether to do that, and what were the main considerations. His son just died after he lost his wife and his daughter earlier in his career. Could he go through a very public, grueling process with that emotional cloud over him? And really the question for him was, could he handle it?
Leveraged opportunities of working together. I can only do so much myself, and I don't mind. I walk Fairmount Park almost every day and pick up trash out of the lake with my poles, but that's a very insular, individual thing, and how do I have greater impact? And I'm always thinking of how do I leverage my time and my money, my efforts, and that's what I think we're all doing.
Yeah, I think that's a great, also a strategy to answer one of those questions there, to overcome a fear you might have. This is so overwhelming, what can I really do? If you look at it as an opportunity to leverage your time with other people who think exactly the way you do.
With what you want to do in a community, you just gotta go do it, and you've got to show up.
and don't look at the big picture. I mean, you got to take those baby steps, because I think that's where I sometimes get overwhelmed. It's like, oh my gosh, you want me to serve on some board that I know nothing about or that. But, you know, there are these steps that you have to take before you go ahead and choose the board that you want to serve on.
The structures that always work. Because if we're going to be effective in any way, you know, we need to listen to that kind of feedback. Thought.
Yes, and I'm willing to bet that along the way, good, well-intentioned people who want to change that structure or provide something new are going to run up against it and experience a setback or a failure. And I think, this is Aaron speaking here, it's how badly do you want it, that you're willing to beat your head against the wall a little bit till you get there. And I'm sure everybody in this room has had an experience like that, because if we all just went home and said, oh man, they're never going to listen, they're never going to change, that's what everybody does, and then nothing really ever will change.
So we have to leverage our minds and get together and create the team that's going to fix, right, or at least push harder on a solution.
Absolutely.
Right? Sue's done that.
Unless you take on leadership. It just isn't something that's a part of your daily life usually. It's not something that you practice in the grocery store. You know, it is something you really have to physically say, yes, I'm going to be a leader to do. And that's the only way you get better at it, you know? Opportunity comes and you've got that sinking feeling and you're saying to yourself, God, I don't know, I'm a little nervous. That's exactly when you should be saying, I need to do it. And that little feeling that says, if I can't, then you have to say, I must. And I sort of go by Eleanor Roosevelt when she says, you must do the thing you think you cannot do, which is called wise risk taking. So personally, I began saying yes to things.